Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, and today we've got a little bit of a quick video to share with you guys. Just talking a bit about the state of hand cannons in the game right now, both in the Crucible and in PvE. In particular, the state of the 32 rate of fire, 68 impact archetype of hand cannons. This is the max rate of fire archetype, so the archetype that Thorn, the Last Word, guns like the Kuma Katoch, the Down and Doubt, all of those fit into this archetype. And so very quickly, I just wanted to go over some stats for these guns and talk about why I think they're not performing as well as they should be. They certainly don't hold a candle to guns in the 22 rate of fire, 81 impact, that Fatebringer archetype, the Palindrome, Ias Luna. They seriously don't hold a candle to guns in that archetype right now, and I want to discuss why that is. So as usual, I headed on into some private matches to take a look at some stats and gauge exactly how range works on these hand cannons. Now for the Kuma Katoch Hc4, it is of course 32 rate of fire, 68 impact, with a base range of 15. It deals about 77 damage to the head in Crucible with a max optimal range of about 21 meters. After that point is when you'll start experiencing damage fall off, which is a very far cry away from guns like the Ias Luna and the Palindrome, who have a max damage range of about 25 meters without rifle barrel or rangefinder or anything. Or really, I guess I should say about 24.5 meters. But in addition to starting that damage fall off super quickly, you also notice some really weird sort of accuracy effects with the Kuma Katoch Hc4. You're seeing a little bit of that right now, where some shots taken outside of that 21 meters just don't hit. You'll notice bloom a lot more on this gun if you're outside of that 21 meter range. And it really just goes towards hammering home the point of how important the range stat is, especially for hand cannons, since range is of course directly tied to the accuracy of your weapon and how exactly it's going to be affected by bloom. So that's a quick look at the 32 rate of fire, 68 impact archetype without rifled barrel or reinforced barrel. Next up, I whipped out my Down and Doubt here, which does have rifled barrel, knocking that range from 15 up to about 39. For reference, Hawkmoon with Hammer Forged has 47 range, a stat which is virtually unattainable for this archetype of hand cannons with the small exception of Thorn. Having rifled barrel in tow and a range stat of 39 pushes out your optimal damage range to about 24 meters, virtually matching, the Ias Luna Palindrome tier. So basically, in order to match the range benefits of those base guns without range perks, you have to roll rifled or reinforced barrel. Which sucks because at this point, you might as well just not be using anything in this archetype. And if you don't have those range perks, anything from the 24 to 25 meter in this archetype is just not going to be consistent at all. As you can see here, shots just disappearing all over the place at a mere 25 meters. Having a base range of 15 is really just a death sentence for these guns, because they just really can't compete with an archetype of hand cannon whose base range of 39 is basically equal to the max range that you can get on the 32 rate of fire, 68 impact tier. I mean, sure, they're technically capable of killing in the same number of shots as an Ias Luna and a Palindrome. You just need to hit 2 headshots and 1 body shot. But the fact is, you have to do it at such close range, you might as well just be using a sidearm or something. And at range, an Ias Luna or a Palindrome with rifled barrel and rangefinder is of course going to be hitting for max damage up to about 30.5 meters, and it's just a way better offering overall than basically the entire archetype of fast rate of fire hand cannons. And that's kind of sad. Now, of course, there are certain standouts, like Thorn, I mentioned before, has a much higher base range and a much higher max range than some of these other hand cannons. The Appellant 3, the Water Star, and I do believe the Stolen Pride do have higher base ranges at about 25, I do believe, but still, that's not really enough. I mean, right here, looking at the Kuma Katoch at 30 meters, just can barely hit any of the shots there. That lack of range and accuracy just obliterates it with bloom. And it just makes that archetype really uncomfortable in Crucible. And it almost feels like you're kind of just putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're utilizing those weapons. You're just much better off heading on to the Crucible Quartermaster and picking yourself up a Palindrome. It's going to work more often, more consistently, and from further out. At least in PvP. There's certainly a market for these kinds of guns in PvE. And really, that's the only place I utilize it now because it's pretty well rolled for that. I got a max stability luck in the chamber roll with triple tap, so it works really well and stays on target like nothing else. Now, some of you out there have probably got guns in this archetype that you like, and are no doubt posted up in the comments to tell me about your favorite gun in this archetype and how well it works for you. I'm not denying that these things can be good. Remember, in the Crucible, they're capable of 3-shotting people just like those meta guns in the 22 rate of fire 81 impact archetype. You just have to land 2 precision shots and 1 body shot while you're within that maximum effective range. So a change I would like to see to this archetype would be a bump up to some of these guns' base range. Remember, guns like the Down and Doubt, the Kuma Katoch Hc4, and Zhouli's Bane from the King's Fall raid all have a base range of 15, which is abysmal. It's basically, in my opinion, the cause of most of the problems with these weapons. I would bump that up to about a base range of 25, matching the Appellant 3, the Stolen Pride, and guns like the Water Star in Trials of Osiris. This would push out the gun's max damage range just a bit, and with rifled or reinforced barrel, you'd basically be hitting somewhere in the upper 40s to maybe low 50s for a range stat, putting you at about 26 to 27 meters for that max range. That big boost in range would definitely help out with the accuracy issues that these guns face, and hopefully knock down some of that terrible bloom effect that you really feel heavily on this archetype, because this is just painful right now. And I really feel like an extra bit of base range would go a long way for some of these guns. After all, we want to promote variety in the Crucible, and certainly we've been seeing more weapons and more weapon types popping up in your matches as of late. I've been running into a lot of scout rifles, which makes me happy, but on the hand cannon side, it's still pretty much just the Ias Luna, Palindrome, and the occasional Finalis Peril shell. And in particular, I really wish some of these gunsmith weapons were worth using. Stuff like the Kuma Katoch Hc4, stuff like the Ufern Hc4. It would just be great if these things could get a little love too. But alright Guardians, that's pretty much it. Again, I just wanted to talk a little bit about an archetype of hand cannons that in my opinion could be a bit better than it is right now. A bit more competitive too. I really like the fast rate of fire handies, and in their optimal range, they actually have a fairly quick time to kill. And I'd just like to see them be a little bit more consistent in the game overall. But anyways guys, those are my thoughts. Be sure to let me know what you guys think of all this down in the comment section below. Do you have a favorite hand cannon in the 32 rate of fire 68 impact tier? Do you think they need to be tweaked a little bit? Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I am the Blacklink. You guys stay frosty.